I'm giving it up just because it's playing.
I don't believe it's
You're listening to Hotep Ish with your host, Dwan B. Intelligent Ish Talk, intelligent shit talk, where we balance the profound with the profane. Political satire, celebrity and expert guests, information and entertainment, conversation and solutions. Leave your feelings at the door.
What up, y'all? This is the
say this
You're
one more
listening to
time, then I'm
Hotep
gonna get
Ish
started.
with your host, Dwan B. Intelligent Ish Talk, intelligent shit talk, where we balance the profound with the profane. Political satire, celebrity and expert guests, information and entertainment.
Right here.
Conversation and solutions. Leave your
Leave your
feelings at the door.
What up, y'all? Thank y'all for joining the brother. We are here talking that intelligent-ish talk, that intelligent shit talk. What's going on? Turn my preaching music on. What's up, everybody in the chat room? Lady B, Nino Black, Sadiq Floyd, Quan. What's up, everybody? B, Polly, Eduardo. Thank y'all for joining. We here talking about the LA riots. 30 years later, started April 29th, 1992. I was 10 years old, going on 11. So I remember the riots well. So today, you're getting a first-hand perspective of the LA riots. I had friends that both banged and family members that both banged, and family members that own property, and family members that own businesses. So kind of got to see it through family stories and through first-hand observation from all of the angles. What's up, Adriana? Nino Black said you was a baby, so take notes. No, Rob Trimble, I did not get the Nintendo games. My mom's was very much by the book, still is. So we didn't get any of the stuff. As a matter of fact, the nights the riots broke out, my mama took us to church. I'll never forget, the riot started on a Wednesday. I know because that was not a Wednesday night Bible study, because we were at Wednesday night Bible study the night everything kicked off. So this is basically how it happened. For those of you, let's do some backstory before we get into the actual riots themselves. We're gonna start with the backstory. How did conditions get to the point to where there was a riot in Los Angeles, California? When it hit, here it go. So, LA, I always say, if you really want to get the best breakdown of the conditions that led to the LA riots, listen to Ice Cube's Death Certificate album. Listen to that album. That album was written and released December 1991. That's about 5 months before the LA riots kicked off. A few months before the LA riots kicked off. He's talking about on that album a lot of the conditions that were going on in Los Angeles during that time. During that time, you had the LAPD was really having some guerrilla war on us. And they were coming around smashing. If y'all go back and watch that movie Colors, Colors talks about that. What they're doing is they were going around smashing us. Smashing on us. You know what I mean? When I say smashing on us, people riding down the streets. And here they come pulling you out the car, yanking you out. They would literally rip you. They would say they suspected you of drugs. So they would go so far as to pull the seats out your car, rip the leather or the interior, and say maybe you were stashing drugs back there with a knife, and they would dig in people's car seats, car covers. That's what they do. Chief Daryl Gates was they had this unit called the crash unit, and the crash unit used to go around and basically just violate your rights and then beat your ass and drop you off in a rival neighborhood. That's what they do. And so at the same time you had that going on in South Central LA, you had the gang war going on. You know, this is when Crips and Bloods was going at it the heaviest. And the gang war was an extension of the drug war. Because like my dad always told me, you know, my dad did his thing back in the 70s. He always talks about back in the 70s, you know, the drugs were over here, the gangs were over there. They didn't mingle the drugs and the gangs. The drug game, you know, had its own rules and had its own thing that you live by. People weren't just getting popped over drugs. Well, when crack cocaine hit the streets of LA in the 80s, what that did was, because at the same time the crack cocaine hit the streets, a lot of jobs were leaving South Central LA. This is a history lesson, y'all. Take notes. This is a history lesson. Take notes. And what I'm going to be doing also on this show today is I'm going to be showing you guys the maps. I want you to get in your mind the layout of LA and what was going on where. So I'm going to be going back and forth between maps and pictures. This is a real history lesson for you guys to share to your friends and people who don't know better. I see Roland Martin's rolling around LA right now. I guarantee you whatever they're going to talk about on his show, it's going to be something that these Democratic Negroes, they talking points. And you're going to get an overall surface level view of what went on, but you won't get the deal and the real deal details like I'm giving you right now. You dig what I'm saying? So back to what we're talking about. In the 1950s, 60s, 70s, this area right here, city of Vernon, towards the east side of LA, these were all jobs. And there's still a lot of jobs here. But these were all jobs that black people had. You know, from the train yard up here near Union Station. You know, here you have downtown. You got the famous Central Avenue that they talk about. If you go way back to 1911, I'm going to do another history show on this. 1911 right here. This is where it says 11th Street Electronics, this store right here. This is where the jazz great Jelly Roll Morton came to LA and brought jazz from New Orleans to LA in the 19-teens. Jelly Roll Morton was also a pimp. So he also brought them hoes with him too. And he established jazz. I'm sorry, wrong place. I have you at the wrong place. Right here. This place. I had y'all somewhere else. This spot. This hotel. Jelly Roll Morton, which is now a game store. Jelly Roll Morton bought this hotel. And he brought jazz to LA from New Orleans. And he also brought that pimping from New Orleans too out that hotel he owned. So this is the famous historic Central Avenue right there that people always talk about. And so this area right here was area as you get into the 60s, 70s, and 80s, early 80s. These are all jobs for black people right here. Same thing when you go down over here. I'm at Alameda, so let me get on over to Santa Fe. Where's Santa Fe? Where is Santa Fe? Pacific Boulevard. Okay, here we go. I'm on Florence. Oh yeah, here we go. I'm down here in Manchester. These also were jobs for black people. If you look at right here, this was the Firestone factory right here. Every Firestone tire made in America was made by black people, was made in this factory. And for the most part, it employed mostly black people. Why am I saying all this? To get into the 80s, these jobs start disappearing and they start going to China. They start going to Mexico. They start going to the prison system. A lot of these jobs went to the prison system, to tell you the real truth. So there is a huge area of black people living right here. This is all where black folks lived. This is Watts. You see Watts and you see Southgate. Southgate is where Cypress Hill got their start. The Mexicans were over here in Southgate, even back then in the 80s. And they, right there. But black people were living in Linwood. That's why they built this 105 freeway right here. As we get into the 80s, the economy had been taken from black America. And at the time, they started construction on the 105 freeway right here. And everything you see right here was black neighborhood. From Inglewood, this is the LAX airport. Well, here's Inglewood is right here next to LAX airport. All this was black neighborhood. You got Gardena down here, Hawthorne. Nothing but black people living over here at the time in the 80s. So they built this freeway right here during the 80s to further depress black America. And then you see over here is Compton was right down here. So they build a freeway through to further depress black America. They take the jobs. So what do you have left? This the Imperial Courts, Nickerson Gardens. What do you have left? You have a whole group of people that now can't get official work. They need other means of income. What are other means of income? How is this going to happen? How is this going to work? Insert crack cocaine. Crack cocaine made in the was made over here at UCLA. Crack cocaine was made over here in the laboratories of UCLA in the 1970s. You see here the Ronald Reagan Medical Center. That's where Michael Jackson died. Well, that's where they killed Michael Jackson. Side note, this is where Michael Jackson was living at the time of his death. Where is that street? See, I know LA like the back of my hand, but it'd be different from these maps. Not Mapleton, not Beverly Glen. Where that street at? Where that street at? Where that street at? I mean, I can't find it on the map. Well, anyway, you got the LA Bel Air Country Club right here. LA Country Club, I mean. And over here off Mapleton, you got the Playboy Mansions right over here, Charing Cross Road. So this is just a layout of LA. I'm bringing up this area for a reason because I'm going to come back to it later on. I'm going to come back to Bel Air as I get later on and to talk about the LA riots because it does play a part. So you have all this shit going on at UCLA. I mean, at the you had crack cocaine being made over here at UCLA. So here we go, UCLA right here. My bad. I was looking for that street that Michael Jackson was on, what his house was, but I'm getting sidetracked. It's throwing my goddamn concentration out, so I'm not gonna find that for y'all. Maybe later, maybe on the different show. Well, anyway, crack cocaine made over here at UCLA. We get back into South Central. At the time, all of this is black LA. Mexicans are living more so in this area. Over here, Mexicans are up in here. They're near Chavez Ravine, Dodger Stadium. The Mexicans are over here in Northeast LA, East LA, City View Terrace. East LA. This is more so where your Mexican lives at the time. Black people lived from Linwood to Compton and all this whole area at the time of the riots. I'm giving you guys background story. I'm giving you guys the conditions that set up the LA riots. So insert crack cocaine. Crack cocaine now becomes the economy because all of those jobs had got taken away. And when I say the money was real, I mean the money was real. At the time I lived over in this area when I was a kid, and this was my elementary school, one of my elementary schools, Coliseum Elementary. This is where I went to elementary school. At the time, this used to be like a shopping center. It's now a fire department. The fire department was always there. But over here, the rest of this, where this charter academy is, this used to be a shopping center. This 7-Eleven used to be here. And this is the infamous Jungles right here. The infamous Jungles that people talk about, BPS. So I grew up in BPS hood. So when I was in school, the drug game was so good. When we were in elementary school right here on the street Coliseum, every day it used to be this dude, this drug dealer. He had a white Lamborghini. And he'd drive his Lamborghini down Coliseum during recess and during lunch to impress us elementary school kids. He would come right here, and then we'd all run to the gate, and then he would like smash off in his Lamborghini down the street real fast. That's how much money was in the drug game back then. Mind you, this nigga lived in the Jungles over here with a fucking Lamborghini. That's what the money was like in LA at the time for the drug game. So when it's money that big, guess what happens? The gang fights get big. Because if you gonna steal some money that can buy me a Ferrari or a Lamborghini, somebody's probably gonna die over that. You dig what I'm saying? So you had the gang thing going on real heavy at the time too. Also at the time, you had the Asians that are running all the markets. Over here, it was a market called Sunnyside, Sunnyside Market, like disrespectful Asians. You know, you come in and listen to Ice Cube Death Certificate CD. You go in to go buy some pickled pig feet or something, and they want to be like, hurry up and buy. Hurry up and buy. The Asians was on that bullshit back then. A lot of them. Get out of my store. That movie, Don't Be a Menace to South Central while drinking your juice in the hood, that scene where they imitating them. What you say about my mama? Menace to Society. That was going on in South Central at the time. So the people got getting squeezed from a lot of different sides. You getting squeezed from the gangs in your neighborhood that you don't want there. You getting squeezed from the LAPD. You getting squeezed from the lack of jobs. You getting squeezed from the fucked up economy. The pressure's coming on all angles. So these are the conditions of what's going on in LA. And on the political side, 1991, 90, that's when you got Maxine Waters. She's running for Congress for the first time, because before that, Maxine Waters was part of the state Senate, the state Congress. I know because my mom used to go to those meetings when Maxine Waters was running. So that's how far I go back with Maxine Waters. Maxine Waters was running, and we had a black mayor, Tom Bradley, had Chief Daryl Gates, and also you had shit like this going on in LA, in South Central. You had shit like this going on. And notice what's funny. This is the crash unit. These are tanks that they had. If you Google LAPD crash unit tanks, you're only going to find images in black and white. Pay attention to how the white supremacists work. The way the white supremacists work is they put things in black and white to put in the minds of the youth. Because Nino Black, y'all young people listening that wasn't around, what happens when you see something that's in black and white? You automatically put it in some ancient times. I know that's what I did before I became aware of the psychology behind it. They had color film of Martin Luther King Jr., but they'd only show us black and white film of Martin Luther King Jr. to make it seem like it was some ancient times. Not really realizing my dad was in middle school or junior high when he got killed. Well, same thing here. They're going to make things that they did real bad, the few pictures they have left, they're going to put it in black and white to make it seem old. I'm only 40. I was 10 when this shit happened. And I got very vivid memories of this. It wasn't that long ago. Well, you had the LAPD. I remember, because at my grandmama's house on the east side, I remember seeing this tank roll down the street and knock in somebody's wall. Your homie Tony that lived down the street, his mama house getting the wall knocked in because his big brother deal drugs. These are the conditions. Oftentimes, they didn't even hit the right house. So LA was like a war at the time, y'all. I'm telling y'all, this shit was a real war being waged on the streets between the drug dealers, LAPD, the local government. Shit, you're right, Nino. You said you was 11 when 9/11 happened. Yeah, so you remember 9/11 vividly. What's up, Tasha, in the chat room? But yeah, this is what they did. They tried to make it seem as if the LA riots just was some ancient thing with these new pictures that they put up. So these are the conditions at the time. You got this going on. At the same time, you got Chief Daryl Gates in there, who created the crash unit, and Black Mayor Tom Bradley. This is them two right here. This is Chief Gates and Tom Bradley right here. So we wondering in Black LA, what's going on? We got a black mayor. We got Maxine Waters, who just made Congress. In my area, we had Nate Holden, was our city councilman. That crooked fraud, Mark Reddy Thomas, was getting ready to start his run. So we wondering what's up. My mom used to be down at the Maxine Waters meetings and Nate Holden meetings in the 8, and we used to complain about we want more access to things. It's nothing. In the hood, there was a dearth of anything that was of use. Let me give y'all an example. I grew up, this is how South Central was at the time. I grew up over here, right by Dorsey High School. I grew up in this area. Can y'all see my mouse cursor? I think so, y'all can. I grew up over here. This street was called Rodeo Road at the time. It wasn't Obama. If you may hear me reference Rodeo Road, that's because I still call it Rodeo Road. I refuse to call a street I grew up off of some fucking Obama Boulevard. He can kiss my ass. This is Rodeo Road, people. We grew up over here. Now over here on Crenshaw, you see a Walgreens. There's a Big Five right here, sporting goods. This actual thing at the time, this was a car lot called Majestic Pontiac. This grass field was a Ralph's, and over here was like a Yum Yum Donuts. Now they knocked all that shit down for the train. But this is basically what we had. We didn't have Target. We didn't have Montgomery Ward. The mall over here, the Baldwin Hills Crenshaw Mall, had just gotten built. They just opened up 2 years before the riots. but it really wasn't shit in here. The Macy's at the time, Macy's was Broadway. It was trash. You couldn't find what you needed up in there. Same thing with the May Company. You couldn't find nothing. Magic Johnson had this used to be the Magic Theater. The Magic Theater hadn't been built yet. And at the same time, the Baldwin Hills Theater, which used to be right here, had gotten shut down. Where it says U.S. application, this used to be the Baldwin Hills Theater. This had gotten shut down because the Bloods was always shooting niggas up. So this shit had gotten shut down. Over here is where the rich niggas live, Baldwin Hills. See how close Baldwin Hills is to the jungles? Same thing up here, Don Quixote and all these streets. See how close Baldwin Hills is to the jungles? Hillcrest. Jungles, multi-million dollar homes. Jungles, multi-million dollar homes. Right there. All black people, by the way. So, this is Fedco over here. This is the only thing we had. So, the only way we had to go to the movies back in the day before the riots, we had to drive from way over here, across La Cienega, down to Slauson, to the Marina Freeway, to over here in Marina Del Rey to go to the movies. AMC Marina Marketplace 6 is where we used to go. About a 20-25 minute drive. That's how far we had to go to the movies. So we were complaining, saying, look, LA, we need shit. We want our own movie theaters. We need better access to resources. We need more shopping in our area. We tired of having to go way to Marina Del Rey. Either Marina Del Rey or the Fox Hills Mall, which is the nigga mall. Niggas shop at the Fox Hills Mall. We didn't fuck with the Baldwin Hills Crenshaw Plaza. We had to come over here to the Fox Hills Mall. And if we couldn't get it in the Fox Hills Mall, we had to come up here to the Beverly Center. Way up here by Cedars-Sinai. The Beverly Center. This is also where niggas shop. In Beverly Hills over here. It's damn near a de facto nigga mall, even back in the 80s and the 90s. So, this is how far we had to go to get any level of resources. So these were the conditions going on. We couldn't get exactly what we wanted. We had to go way on the other side of town to get anything decent. The LAPD was fucking us up. The black politicians weren't doing shit. Latasha Harlins got killed by an Asian store owner. That Asian store owner only got probation. Then Rodney King got his ass whooped. We like, man, that shit definitely, like, the Asian store owner just got off from killing a black person. Notice, I seriously doubt Roland Martin spent much time on her. Soon UA, whatever the hell her name was, shot Latasha Harlins and killed her. And that's what really got black people boiling. It was almost a riot back then, but shit, it was Christmas time when that shit happened. And black people were at a fever pitch in LA. One thing about LA, we don't take direct racism well. No, we don't. We fight back in this city. You're not gonna just, I hear people come from parts of the country where they brag about taking direct racism. Not in LA, we ain't. Shit. All right. Be directly racist if you want to. You're gonna have to pay a whole lot of money. It's gonna go how much you willing to pay for your racism. That's how we think, right? That's how we think in LA. You believe in racism that much? Okay, well, say it with your pocketbook. That's how we get down in LA. Say it with your bread if you like LA if you like your racism so much. We ain't taking that shit. So Rodney King got his ass whooped. The police officers was found guilty. Not guilty. So what happened? Florence and Normandy. Mind you, this is my first elementary school, 74th Street Elementary School. When I lived in these apartments over here. on Florence and Western. This is before the riots. And then here's Dinker, here's Normandy. Boom, we have Florence and Normandy. This is where Damian Football Williams, the martyr, comes out and he pulls Reginald Denny out that tanker and whoops his motherfucking ass right here. Tom's Liquor's still there. The 76 gas station's still there. This Chevron's still there. Arts used to be, this used to be Arts Chili Dogs. I've been there for like forever. A staple in South Central. They just shut down about 3 or 4 years ago. But this is where the riots got kicked off. Florence and Normandy. Y'all listening to Craig Facts yesterday. Y'all heard Blaze talk about being in that store. This is the store he was talking about, Tom's. If you heard Craig Facts yesterday, this is where Blaze was, right here. This is where everything get cracking. The ass whooping of the century. Reginald Denny. At the time, I'm over here. Where I'm over here, or not there yet. At the time, this is where I am. My elementary school was Coliseum Elementary. I was 10, but I used to walk home to school by myself. My brother and sister, they were at Paul Revere Middle School at the time, which is they took a bus, and Paul Revere is like way over here, where they were, like over here in this. And then they were at they were at Palisades. They were at Palisades then. Palisades High School is way over here. It's a bus that picked you up and took them to Palisades High. That's where my brother and sister was. I was here. I was leaving school and I was walking home. And I walked home. This is where I stayed over here in this area of Chesapeake and Rodeo. So when I get home, my grandfather had just bought me a Crocodile Mile. And I said this story yesterday on Craig Facts. Y'all probably heard it. He bought me a Crocodile Mile, one of these. Nigga had been waiting on one of these forever. My grandfather don't be buying me shit. Well, he bought me one of these. So I'm home by myself. My mama at work, my daddy at work, my sister and brother, they catching a bus home from school, but they ain't home yet. So I'm in the backyard. Mind you, I'm 10. I get my Crocodile Mile cracking. I'm hearing all these helicopters going over the house. And I'm hearing sirens go up and down the street. I'm over here hearing, see, everybody else, see, the slip and slide was the first thing. The Crocodile Mile was the evolution of the slip and slide. It was a slip and slide, but then you got the splash into the pool at the end. That's what made the Crocodile Mile better than the slip and slide. So we got a cool backyard at the time over in the Crenshaw district. We had fruit trees. We had 2 plum trees, an apricot tree, a peach tree. The neighbor had a lemon tree. Mind you, this is Black LA. We got along really well in our neighborhood on the housing side. Across the street was the apartments. That's a whole nother story. So I'm over here and I'm hearing sirens ringing, helicopters. My sister and brother get home from school and they tell me to come inside. I'm like, man, I got my Crocodile Mile, man. My sister like, come inside. I'm like, man, all right, cool. I'll come inside. So that's when I see Reginald Denny getting his ass whooped on TV. And so we watching this shit on TV from here in the Crenshaw district. And then we start smelling smoke. My mom get home. If y'all listened to Craig Facts yesterday, I'm here. Craig said he was at Fedco. That means Craig was right here. Craig was right down the street from me. He said he was over here in this area. He was right down the street from me when this is going on. So this is in the middle of the shit cracking. We smelling this shit. And my mom, being the saint that she is, my mom was true when it comes to church. And the reason why I was so bought into church, my mom is straight up. She never was the kind of preachy person. She always lived. She was very faithful to church. And I will say my mom has and still lives a very blessed life. You know, we didn't gossip and do all that other church shit. My mom was really true to it. So we already went to Wednesday night Bible study every week anyway. I had to go to Wednesday night church every week. So the LA riots ain't gonna be no different. By the time your church started at 7 o'clock, we leaving at about 6:45 so we could be there on time. Coming down Rodeo Road. Again, this is Rodeo Road. We get to this corner, and this over here, where this Bank of America is right here, this used to be Warehouse Music. This used to be Thrifties, now it's Superior Groceries. All this shit, this whole corner right here is on fire. They left over here where Ralph's is, they kind of left that alone. But this whole corner is on fire, and as a 10-year-old, I'm seeing my neighborhood burn down in front of me as we make this right turn on La Brea to go to church. We go to church. My church was over here. It's not a church anymore. This shit's now a bunch of condos. But at the time, my church is right here where these condos are. It's called Zoe Lost. My church is called Zoe Christian Fellowship. At the time, this is where it was. So while we in church, all up and down Adams, all we hear is fire truck, police truck, car. So why did I bring up UCLA earlier? At the time, where you see this U-Haul storage, this used to be where the National Guard was. The United States National Guard used to be housed right here. So the day of the riots, we see all these National Guard people being deployed. But where did the National Guard people go when they were deployed? They sent these motherfuckers up here to Beverly Hills. They sent them to guard the Beverly Center over here. They sent them over here by UCLA. Mind you, UCLA is where they created crack. And crack was what created the conditions for the LA riots to begin in the first place. That's what we mean when we say all history is a current event. You see how I loop that bit of history in? You create crack in the 70s. You distribute it to a group of people who over here are for the mostly largely peaceful people. And then that riot happened. Now you got to deploy the National Guard to protect yourself over here because you know what you did to those people. Mind you, let me tell you something else. Another tidbit of LA history. And if you go back to my interview with Judge Joe Brown, he verified this. I have been hearing this my whole life, but it's kind of hard to find articles unless you go to those old LAPD Times articles from the 60s. Because they don't have too many written articles on peace within Black America. Mind you, in the 1966 riots, the Watts riots, that happened over here in this area. Here's Watts. It's where the Watts riots broke out. All right. After the Watts riots, I have a cousin who was a police officer back then. He had been applying to become an LAPD officer since 1963. Kept getting denied. Well, after the 66 riots happened, they started hiring a bunch of black police officers to the LAPD. And what they did, this is a tidbit of history ain't nobody else telling you. This is first-hand information. Not some shit I read. Some shit I got from the people at the LAPD. And it was verified by Judge Joe Brown on this very show here. We make the news over here at this motherfucking station. You dig what I'm saying? Hit the like button, please. Please hit the like button and share this program. Please hit the like button and share. Hit the like, share. So what happens is, after the Watts riots, all of the white police officers who was causing all kind of shit here in Watts, they got deployed and transferred to the newly built San Fernando Valley. They got transferred over here. Northridge, my alma mater, Cal State Northridge. Go Matadors. This is where I got my motherfucking degree from. So all them people got transferred out here. All those white racist LAPD officers. They restocked the Watts area with mostly black police officers. Why did I bring this up? The black officers understood the area. They understood the people. So a tidbit of history that's very rarely talked about. Between 1967 and 1968, there was only one murder in all of black LA. Only one. Only one. Goes to show you how peaceful LA was when the LAPD wasn't fucking with us. One murder. This whole area. And during this time, UCLA, Judge Joe Brown worked there. He was a student at UCLA at the time, and he was part of the outreach program. And they brought a whole bunch of outreach opportunities to the black people in LA after the 66 riots. Black LA had gotten very peaceful. That's when Nixon started the war on drugs in 1971, and crime slowly started to build up again. Till you get to the crack era of the 80s, crime explodes. How does a city go from one murder in an 18-month span to 1,800 murders in 1 year, just 20 years later? Because in 1988, LA had like 1,800 murders. How does that happen in 20 years? Social conditions is how that happens. But it was very slow. So we get to the LA riots back to 1992. Everything gets burned down. Not everything, but a lot of the shit that got burned down. Up and down Crenshaw. You know, it made it hard on us. They didn't touch the Baldwin Hills Mall. This whole area got left alone. The Baldwin Hills Mall, everything within the Baldwin Hills Mall got left alone. But all up and down here, burned to a char. Here, this is Fody's Hood. A lot of the black-owned businesses got left alone. Like, niggas left Maverick's Flat alone. Maverick's Flat was right. Niggas left the liquor bank alone. Liquor bank got rioted, but it didn't get burned down. But here, this is where, this used to be Maverick's Flat. That didn't get burned down. That got left alone. Over here is where Degnan and 43rd, this tower, this over here, this is where Robin Harris was doing his comedy night at the Regency West. Over here. So I'm sorry, Regency West over here. That's the Regency West. This is where Robin Harris, this is where black stand-up comedy. Robin Harris had died by the time of the riots. But before the riots, if you ever watched that documentary on Fat Tuesdays, they talk about black comedy and how really Def Comedy Jam, all that shit got structured around what Robin Harris was doing over here at the Regency West. This is Leimert Park. This is the area Tariq is trying to buy the museum. This right here is that plot of land that he was telling y'all he wanted to buy that they wouldn't sell to him. That's right here. That's right here. They still not selling to that brother. They're not selling to no black people over here. This over here, if you ever saw the movie A Thin Line Between Love and Hate, Chocolate City, that was a Vision Theater right here. which at the time was owned by Marla Gibbs. You know, Marla Gibbs, 227, Jeffersons. She owned this theater, the Vision Theater at the time. So right here, you're dealing with a lot of dope things going on, a lot of great things going on in Black America. But at the time, shit was really fucked up. Lemert Park over here, KBLA 1580. This is where we do Craig Facts on Saturday, KBLA. And so this was going. All this area was for the most part, you know, some of it was burned, some of it was left alone. Why am I bringing this up? Then you get over here to MLK. A lot of MLK was burned, especially this whole area, this shopping center, this corner, MLK and Western was burned to a crisp. Here's a Coliseum, and at the time the sports arena was here. This is where the Clippers used to play, and at the time this is where the Raiders played. This one the LA Raiders were around. They played here. USC and the LA Raiders played here. This whole shopping center was burned down. All this was burned down, up and down Vermont, up and down King. A lot of this was burned. Okay. So why am I saying that the riots was a great thing that happened to LA? Why am I saying this? All of the conditions that I was telling you about before, us not getting the resources we were demanding, us not getting, now mind you, they had some stuff over here. This is where USC is. They had a movie theater over here at USC and everything, but niggas really didn't feel comfortable going over there because them USC security guards didn't really fuck with us like that. My Aunt Jerry lived over here in the University Gardens at the time, so I would be over here a lot. But every time we walked over anywhere, when we was kids, anytime we go anywhere on USC campus, we had them USC security guards. What are you niggas over here doing? They wouldn't use the word nigga, but that's how they made you feel. This is where I would spend a lot of my summers over here with my Aunt Jerry. And this was Fruittown Hood. My cousin D-Ray, rest in peace. He ran this area. He was in that documentary Bastards of the Party. Watch a documentary called Bastards of the Party. They really break down LA. That's the best documentary I've ever seen breaking down LA and the street life in LA. Bastards of the Party. Please look up that documentary. So after the riots, all of these things that we have been saying we wanted, because people will tell you, see, these Roland Martin type Democrat shills, they'll tell you, well, black people didn't get what they want because black people don't vote, and we gotta vote, and we gotta be politically active, and that's why those things don't happen. Let me tell you from firsthand experience. My mama had me as an 8-year-old, as a 7-year-old, at these meetings that Nate Holden used to put on. They would sometimes use the park over here where I played basketball. This is where I learned how to play basketball over here. Also where I learned how to swim. This used to be a swimming pool. That's where niggas learn how to swim. Side note, dog, nigga, when we was kids going swimming here, see that diving board over there? It was a whole bunch of bloods in this neighborhood. So we be in the pool, and these niggas be on a diving board, throwing up they sets, and doing like niggas is doing triple somersaults, throwing up BPS right as they hit the water, and hit the goddamn water with no splash. Don't tell me niggas can't swim. Them bloods was always up in here. I remember when the 92 Olympics came, when I saw the Olympics, I was disappointed. Because them Olympic motherfuckers couldn't do half the shit niggas was doing in the Dorsey pool. BPS niggas used to go up and do like triple Lindy's. Niggas throw up they block on one of the somersaults and smack hit the water with no splash. This is real LA history, nigga. This is real LA history, y'all. But I remember my mom, sometime here at the Dorsey High Auditorium, Nate Holden would hold community town hall meetings. And I would go with my mom. Or we would have meeting Mark Ridley Thomas when he was running, Maxine Waters, They be over here off Crenshaw. Over here. There used to be like a building up in here where they would hold community town hall meetings. Across the street is Angela's funeral home. Those of you who've seen that movie Boys in the Hood, remember that scene with the black cop when he pulled the gun out and he was like, "Nigga, you think you tough, huh? You think I should blow your motherfucking brains out?" Y'all remember that scene on Boys in the Hood? Well, they filmed that right here. They filmed that right here in front of Angela's. And that scene where they shot up when that nigga Ferris bumped when he bumped Trey and was like, "What you want? Watch where you walking, Vigor." That was right here. I know that because earlier that day, me and my boys, we had rode our bikes down Coliseum to Crenshaw because we heard Ice Cube was here. And we was over here watching it. We didn't watch them film that scene because it was past, we had to be back home at nighttime. But earlier that day, we was on that bike watching them film that scene when the nigga pulled the gun out and everybody scattered. That was filmed right here. Because Crenshaw Boulevard back in the day was popping. Lowriders used to always take over this Shell gas station. This gas station would be full of lowriders. My dad always made sure he got his gas on Saturday because on Sunday, it was going to be about 40 lowriders in this parking lot. You wouldn't be able to get no goddamn gas. So this is LA. It ain't no resources over here. So the riots burn all this shit down. What happened after that? There was a program called Operation Rebuild LA. And in Operation Rebuild LA, they finally listened and started bringing in the things that we had been talking about. Black people had been doing the politically astute thing to do, go to town hall meetings and lobby our politicians for this stuff. Didn't work. We were talking peacefully. We would have these TV shows on local public access talking about how the LAPD is fucking with us. Didn't work. They used to protest in front of Chief Daryl Gates' office down here in Parker Center in downtown LA. All this stuff was going on in the 90s. I remember. I was there. I used to love watching the news when I was a kid. The Lakers played on Channel 9, and right after the Lakers would go off the road games, 10 o'clock news would come on with Jerry Dunphy and Pat Harvey. Pat Harvey's still on the news. Salute to Pat Harvey. If you're from LA and you watch Channel 9 News or Channel 2 News, CBS, Pat Harvey, she was bringing us the news back then too. If you're from LA, she's mama news to us LA niggas. Well, I remember there used to be protests back in the 1990, 1991 down here at Parker Center. Hey, these police is fucking us up. Do something, Chief Daryl Gates. They wouldn't do nothing. Protests over here at the mayor's it'll be protests over here at the mayor's office. Hey, LAPD is fucking us up. Do something. They wouldn't do nothing. This is where the mayor's office is, up somewhere over here. And then it'll be protests at the mayor's mansion. The mayor's mansion is off Wilshire in Hancock Park. Let me see if I can show you. Okay, that's Olympic. 7th. Wilshire's after 3rd. Beverly is 1st Street. No. I went too far. Here we go, Wilshire. Mind you, this is where the mayor's mansion is. Over here, in this area. Off Wilshire, I think in 6th. Somewhere over here is the mayor's mansion. I remember, why did I bring it up? Black people were coming over here to Hancock Park to protest at Tom Bradley. The police are fucking us up. We need more resources in our neighborhood. Shit ain't right. Nobody listened. Ice Cube released Death Certificate. Death Certificate is 6 months before the LA riots. He caught the temperament of LA 6 months before the riot. Horny Little Devil, Black Korea. Just listen to that CD front to top to back. The life side and the death side. Ice Cube is telling you the social conditions. As a matter of fact, Matter of fact, I think that's gonna be tonight's Incense and Ashtrays. Tonight's Incense and Ashtrays, I'm gonna break down. I'm gonna only play Ice Cube's Death Certificate album. That's what we're gonna talk about tonight on Incense and Ashtrays. And I'm gonna break down the music and what he was talking about in accordance to what was going on in South Central LA. So for those of you who don't know, Quan, whoever's in the chat room, my moderators, put in the Mixcloud link. Subscribe to Mixcloud right now, because tonight I'm gonna break down the Ice Cube Death Certificate album and how it mattered and how it was a prophecy for things to come in South Central Los Angeles. So I would break the music down now, but you know YouTube don't let you play no music. What's up, Butter Love? Yeah, so yeah, okay. As long as my faithfuls to Incense and Ashtrays are down with the Ice Cube, we gonna do it. So this is what's going on back then. So after the LA riots, they finally suddenly heard what we were talking about. They heard our cry. Out of nowhere, the minute we burned their shit down, because let's make it clear, we was burning their shit down. Like the same thing going on with Tariq Nasheed right now at the museum. LA ain't never letting black people own commercial real estate. They barely don't want us to own residential real estate. I'm not saying we don't own commercial real estate. I'm saying they've always made it extremely, extremely, extremely hard to own commercial real estate. So a lot of what got burned down, the overwhelming majority, 99% of what got burned down, was not owned by us. It was owned by them people. And that's a fact. I appreciate the Cash App. Solange, I appreciate the Cash App. Yeah, hit the Cash App, people. Hit the Cash App. I'm giving y'all a real history lesson that you're not going to get nowhere else. From the perspective of a nigga who was raised in the middle of all this shit. So they finally heard our cry. So what happened? First of all, they rebuilt this shopping center right away after the LA riots. Warehouse Music was back open again by 1993, 94. Magic Johnson was then allowed to build his theater right here. This was the Magic Johnson Theater. We finally got a theater in our neighborhood. Side note, we're over here where it say Hotville Chicken. This used to be Eater Burger. This is where Ferris got killed on Boys in the Hood. It was right here. No, Eater Burger was over here. This is where it was. This is where Ferris got killed on Boys in the Hood. LA history. But they finally allowed the theater to be built. They rebuilt Crenshaw. If you see right here, there's now a Chase Bank. They didn't have no fucking, not that many banks on. It still ain't that many banks in LA on the black side of town. They rebuilt the Lulu Washington Dance School. Shouts out to Lulu Washington. She's Kamasi Washington's auntie. Jazz great Kamasi Washington, who's out there right now killing it. They rebuilt this. When they burned down this Majestic Pontiac. Well, actually, Majestic Pontiac had been closed, and this was a bowling alley. They replaced it with a Walgreens. We got a goddamn Big Five for the first time. When I was a kid, I lived over here. If we wanted to go to Big Five, because I played a lot of sports. If we wanted to go to Big Five to get any sporting equipment, we had to go way over here to Culver City off Overland. This is where Big Five was. We had to go way over here. And when we go to Culver City, you now as black people are making yourselves susceptible to the Culver City PD, who never have fucked with us as black people. Culver City was one of LA's last sundown towns. So we tried to stay out of Culver City as much as we could, but we had to go to Culver City because we couldn't get sporting equipment. They brought a Denny's in. They brought in all this stuff over here. These were all businesses that they brought in after the riots. Whereas before it was desolate, it was nothing. They brought in all it. They rebuilt and brought in services that we needed. When you come down here to Century over here in Inglewood, this is the Forum where the Lakers played at the time. Inglewood Cemetery, rest of my grandma. I got mostly all my family up here in Inglewood Cemetery. At the time, this was a racetrack. It wasn't a football stadium. This is if you got Grand Theft Auto. If you got Grand Theft Auto 5, y'all know the horse racing track that they have on the game? Well, that was actually located right here at the time. If you got Grand Theft Auto 5. Darby Park. Well, over here, this was a Price Club, but Price Club had been closed down. This was nothing for a long time. They rebuilt it. They finally brought a Target into the hood. They brought a Home Depot into the hood. They brought all this whole shopping center was a direct result of Operation Rebuild LA and the LA riots. Suddenly, after the LA riots, a lot of the things, the resource markets that we wanted and needed, that we were begging for and asking for politically, 3 days of burning shit down, they finally heard our motherfucking cry. You see how that works? You see how that works, black people? You gotta speak your oppressor's language sometimes. And I'm not encouraging anyone to do anything. I'm just speaking from a communication standpoint. If you want to be heard by someone, sometimes you gotta speak their language. You dig what I'm saying? My cousin Michael, I call him my uncle, but he's really my cousin. But he's like an uncle to me, rest in peace. He died the same weekend Tupac got shot back in '96. My cousin Michael was an eyeglass. He was an eye doctor. All throughout the 80s, he had been trying to build an eye care clinic in South Central LA because cousin Michael grew up in South Central LA. These are the conditions. This is how LA businesses work. Again, you get a perspective that ain't none of these other niggas from outside this place can tell you. Only somebody born and raised here who were raised around decent people and sat in on the adult conversations and got a dope ass memory can tell you this shit. So this is what happened. My cousin Michael, I remember he used to always complain to my mom. Every time he thought he had a place anywhere on this map, everywhere on this map for the most part is where black people live. The good neighborhoods, the bad neighborhoods, and everything in between. Nowhere here could he build anything. And he was an eye doctor. How is a city so mean, so cruel, so racist, they don't let an eye doctor build a clinic for his own neighborhood? LA. You know where my cousin Michael had to build all of his eye clinics? Let me back all the way up. He had to come way over here to build his clinics. This is about a 45-minute drive. 30-minute, in traffic, 2-hour drive. No traffic, 45 minutes. 30 to 45 minutes. My cousin Michael had to build his eye care facilities way over here. Is this Azusa? Yep, Azusa. I'm going to show you it because I think I drove past it recently. I think the person that bought his eye care place, I think they still got the name of it up. Let me see if it's still here. Where's that shopping center off of Azusa? Nope. It's somewhere over here. Well, my cousin Michael had to build his eyeglass shop. Can't find it. I don't know the address. I just know how the shopping center looks from my eyes. But it was somewhere over here. Let me see if they still have it up here. Well, anyway, that's a side story. That's a side note. I'm getting distracted. My cousin Michael had to build his eyeglass shop over here. His first one. And he built a second one over here in like, this is in Glendora and San Dimas. Mind you, in the late 80s, they're trying to, this is how, I'm also going to tie in the gentrification story to this. Because the reason why LA is so ripe for gentrification right now is during the late 80s into the 90s, they started moving black people out into this direction. Mostly Pomona. You had a lot of black people moving to Pomona. And then you had a lot of people at the same time moving even further out to Riverside and San Bernardino. San Bernardino was a former military town. The military base shut down in the mid-80s. So they started moving a lot of black people out this way. It was so much crime going on in South Central LA. It was easy to entice black people to move out here to Riverside and San Bernardino and Pomona during that time. So the riots happened. And so black LA is starting to come this way a little bit. And my cousin had to open up an eyeglass shop out here. What happened after the riots? They said, hey, Michael, we're going to now allow you to open up an eyeglass shop. It took a fucking riot for my cousin Michael to open up an eyeglass shop for his own fucking neighborhood. That's the low-key level of racism that we got to deal with here in South Central LA. That's what we deal with out here. Our black businesses can't open up. And so cousin Michael ended up opening up a clinic right here. Where's 83rd? 83rd and right here. Now it's called Options for Youth. My cousin Michael, after the LA riots, had finally gotten permission to open up in LA, and he built this building right here, and he designed it. He designed this building because this building was burnt down during the riots. So my cousin Michael, a black man, was allowed to design and build his own building for his eye clinic, which is there right now, and the building still stands. Unfortunately, my cousin Michael died 2 months before this opened. He had a clinic right here where the shopping center is right here. This is where his clinic, the temporary clinic was right here. This is where the temporary clinic was. He did work here at the temporary clinic while he was getting this clinic opened up. But this opened in November 1996. My cousin Michael died September 1996. The same weekend Tupac got shot in Vegas. So he never got to live to see his clinic open. And that's a shame, because he was born and raised here in LA. As a matter of fact, the house he grew up in was right over here. He went to Raymond Elementary right over here. So he was getting ready to open up a clinic a half a mile, 2 miles from where he grew up. But that didn't happen because he died too soon. But that goes to show you how the city of LA, it took a riot for the city of LA to give black people the resources that we have been demanding politically. And I know we're demanding politically because I was 7 years old sitting in the Dorsey High School auditorium with my mother, listening to her tell Maxine Waters, Nate Holden. At the time, Yvonne Brathwaite Burke, she was running. I was there with my mom as we requested these things, and the city didn't listen. It didn't listen until niggas burnt this shit up. At least my cousin Michael, before he died, got to at least see the building built. He didn't get to move into it, but he at least got to see the final construction of the clinic that he built before he died. He at least got to see it. But had the LA riots never happened, he never would have had the chance to see his building built less than a half a mile from where he grew up. Thank you, LA riots. Well, more than a mile, because he grew up over here off Normandy in 83rd. Normandy off in Halldale. My great grandmother, my mom's grandmother, my mom and my Uncle Michael were raised together in the same household over here off 83rd and Halldale back in the 1960s and 50s. I'm telling you, man, I'm old school LA. I'm not one of these niggas. My parents didn't even move to LA. My parents were born here. My great grandfather bought this house over here in the 1950s. 1960s. That's when they first started letting black people move over here. The late 50s, early 60s when they started letting black people move over here. One of the first black people to move off Western was my family. On my mom's side, everybody on my mom's side lived over here. Everybody on my dad's side, my dad's from the hood. Y'all saw that Craig Facts with my dad. When my dad was talking on Craig Facts, my dad grew up over here off Slauson and Broadway. My grandfather bought a house over here just as before they built this 110 freeway. My grandfather saw them knocking down those houses over here to build the 110 freeway. My granddad and then my family before that, before they moved over to the west side, they lived over here, which is now mostly Mexican now. But my family over here, my grandparents met at Jefferson High School in the 1950s. This is where they met, right here, Thomas Jefferson High School. They both went to Jefferson High School. That's where they met in the 1950s, because they was also born here in LA. So that's how LA I am. That's how LA I am. My grandfather went to Jefferson High School my grandfather graduated from Jefferson High School here in like 1940. Right here. He's still alive, 98 years old. So that's how LA I am. So I know what my city was like before, and I see what it's been like post LA riots. Overall, the LA riots was a good thing for my city. It put us in position to get the things that we requested, that they would not listen to us demand before the riots. You feel me? The downside was after the riots, because before the riots, I was always over here. I didn't really see that many Mexicans in LA before the riots. We would see them when we went east, to East LA or something like that. We would see them. But really the riots were only cracking that Wednesday and that Thursday. By that Friday, black people were done. It was nothing but Mexicans in the street by then. Mexicans, Asians, even it was the others. Black people were, for the most part, done by that Friday. Black people rioted for 2 days. Day and a half, 2 days. I appreciate the Cash App, Butter Love. Much appreciated. Niggas was done by Thursday night. Friday morning, you saw nothing but Mexicans out there. And we saw all those pictures, all those videos of Asian store owners with guns on the top of their shops. They weren't shooting black people. They kind of understood what we were going through. They were shooting Mexicans. But let me tell you something else. This is my conjecture. I don't think black people were burning down those buildings. I don't. Black people was definitely stealing from them motherfuckers. I know a whole lot of niggas that got stories of getting shit. I don't know one nigga that said, hey, I lit a match. Or I know the nigga who lit the match. Mark from Anaheim, if y'all know who he is, he be on Carl Nelson's show. He has an interesting theory. Well, I won't say theory, but what he says is during the riots, it was people from the department that was setting certain shit on fire. And Mark from Anaheim, he also said, I think he was on Carl Nelson yesterday. I haven't heard his newest interview, but if he was on Carl Nelson's show yesterday, I'm going to post it on my, if he was, I'm going to go ahead and post it on my Instagram so y'all can see where to go and find the link to the Carl Nelson show. Or you can just Google Mark from Anaheim on the Carl Nelson show, LA Riots. He's talked about this plenty of times. And he talks about how he says that them folks were the ones burning shit down. And another group of people who was burning folks down was the business owners themselves. LA was a desolate community at the time. So you had a lot of these business owners that was burning their own shit down and collecting the insurance money. Again, I know a lot of people who participated in the riots. Hell, sometimes I think we was the only ones who didn't. I seen plenty of neighbors coming home with big screen TVs. Niggas had refrigerators. Niggas had appliances, keyboards. Oh, I remember that Thursday, seeing the neighbors come home with all kinds of consumer goods. I don't know one person or one person who knows anybody who burned down a fucking building. We got people from LA in here. Butter Love, you from LA? You ever heard of anybody burning down a building? I sure didn't. Cause one thing about niggas love bragging. Niggas love talking. If somebody burned down a building, somebody would have said something. Somebody would have said something. I don't know. I mean, niggas in the hood talk a good game, but they snitch all the goddamn time on each other. I ain't heard nobody say OG such and such burned down that liquor store over there. Now we all can name 15 niggas who got something about that liquor store. I can name about 30 niggas I know that got something from Fedco. I can't name one nigga that lit a match. So I don't believe we burn things down. That's really not in our nature. That's not really what we do. We don't really push it on fire. But in the middle of a riot, how easy is it for people that work within the city with the police department that have a certain agenda, a 30-year plan for gentrification? How easy is it for them to set fires and nobody notice? Appreciate the Cash App, Flow the Culture. How easy is that for them? How easy for a business owner who sees fire happening all around, how easy is it for them to bust open a bottle of their own liquor in their liquor store and set their own cocktail bomb? Who's going to say something? Mind you, the LAPD had pulled out. You think someone who's rioting is going to go to the police and say, hey, I was looting out that electronics store and I saw the business owner light his own store on fire. You think that's going to happen? Who's going to know? In an environment, the city's on fire. And then when you get to by Friday and Saturday come, it's basically nothing but Mexicans out there rioting. I mean, looting. Niggas were done looting by Thursday. It started Wednesday. Niggas was looting the shit out of stuff on Wednesday, all through Wednesday night. Thursday morning, Thursday afternoon. By Thursday afternoon, most of the good shit had been looted out. Thursday night. Friday, niggas running in the street. Niggas was plugging in. Niggas had brand new Super Nintendos, Sega Genesis. Niggas had brand new big screen TVs. They wasn't out rioting, nigga. Niggas was taking their old refrigerator, emptying it out, putting everything in the new refrigerator. Niggas was hooking up their new washer and dryer that they got. They ain't got to go to the laundromat no more. Niggas wasn't rioting for no 5 days. They rioted 2 days max. Really a day and a half. You're right, Tasha. They set a curfew by then. Yeah, niggas had brand new gear. Friday, man, we wasn't out like that. Tasha, you was around, you know. Tasha, you know. We weren't like that. We weren't out there like that. We made our point and we went back home and enjoyed the fruits of our labor. You dig what I'm saying? And I was 10 years old and we had a week off school. That was the best part about it for me. We got to take the rest of that week off school. That shit was great. The pool was shut down. And then so post-riots. Here's what you hear from people all the time. They always say, well, the black people burned down their own neighborhoods. And then they'll get some coon nigga on TV to be like, man, we didn't have nowhere to go. Man, I don't even know why we had a riot. They burned down all of our stores. Let me tell you what the hood was like before the riots. It was liquor stores, gun shops, and a whole bunch of bullshit we did not need anyway. It was a whole bunch of degenerate shit for sale. Anything good black people needed, like I said before, I'm tying this whole show back in. We bringing this circle all the way around to 360 degrees. There's the reason why I had such a long intro before I even got into the riots. Because whether you lived in the Crenshaw district or over here on the east side, I remember living when my grandmother was on the east side. She used to pick up her sister, my aunt, who lived over here in the projects, and it was a family trip to go to Montgomery Wards over here off Pico in La Cienega. We had to go way over here to Mid-City to fuck with Circus City or a decent mall in the Fox Hills Mall or Marina Del Rey to go see a movie or the Beverly Center to get some decent clothes. Black people already had to leave our neighborhoods to get anything decent. Same thing with grocery stores. Again, don't let these old boot-licking ass coons tell a story. They're gonna say whatever the fuck they think white people want to hear. I'm telling you the real. People could either take it or leave it. Yeah, we had a Ralph. I grew up right here. Yeah, we had a Ralph's grocery store here and a Ralph's grocery store here. Well, at the time, it was ABC Market. No, it was the boys. It was the boys market back then. It wasn't Ralph's back then. It was the boys. We had a boys market here and here, but them boys markets wasn't shit. They was hella expensive, and they didn't always have what you needed. So what we had to do was, if we wanted decent grocery store shopping, we either came across here to Ladera Ralph's, where the rich niggas lived, or for the most part, we had to go over here to Culver City. Right now, it was right here. This is Amazon. This is now an Amazon packaging facility, but at the time, this was a Lucky's Market. We had to come over here to get decent groceries. This is before the riots. Again, people, this is before the riots. Even though we had grocery stores in our neighborhood over here, even though we had good grocery stores over here in our neighborhood, not good ones, but we had them, we had to come way over here to get something decent. And the same with the Inglewood niggas. And it was even worse when you start dealing with over here off Hoover, off Normandy, off Western. They didn't have shit. So they also had to go to Culver City if they wanted something decent. This is the conditions of LA before the fucking riots. This is the conditions of LA before the riots. When I would be with my grandmother over here, Slauson and Broadway, if my grandmother wanted to buy me a new bike, we had to come way over here to where the white folks were to get it. There was nowhere decent to buy a bike in the hood. It was nothing but liquor stores and gun shops back then. And fast food joints. They didn't even have that many banks over here. So LA burned down the shit we didn't need anyway. Bullshit ass liquor stores. Did I miss them? Yeah. A little bit. Because I was 10. I lived over here. This 7-Eleven that got burned down. This Sunshine Market that got burned down. So all the stores I used to walk to were burned down. Was it inconvenient? Yeah, it was. But this Clark's Drugs and this Boys Market wasn't burned down, so we would just walk down Rodeo Road to go over here. It was a little further walk, but hey. Within a few years, we finally got a goddamn Big Five sporting goods. And we finally got a fucking movie theater. To me, that was worth it. That was worth it. They had Operation Rebuild LA, which brought black businesses back to LA. And when I was in my 20s, I worked at Washington Mutual Bank in Inglewood. I worked right over here. That's La Brea. Market Street, Locust. This was my job when I was 20. I paid my own way through college working right here at Washington Mutual Bank. The building is still there. There's Inglewood, downtown Inglewood. I worked here. So I was the business banking director when I worked there in my 20s. I was in charge of the business accounts. I had a client who owned a bunch of Denny's and Del Tacos, a black man. Well, in 2004, in 2000, they opened up this Target. In 2004, they opened up this shopping center right here. They opened up this shopping center in 2004. That Washington Mutual Bank I used to work at over there in Culver City, in 2005, it moved here. Now it's a Chase Bank. This Chase Bank you see right here, that's where I ended up moving to. This Del Taco, this was my client's Del Taco right here. He owned this. I don't know if he still owns it, but he owned it back then. This was also part of Operation Rebuild LA. Operation Rebuild LA was still in effect well over 10 years after the LA riots. Well, when they built this shopping center over here, these two shopping centers in 2004, 2003, they had 0 black-owned businesses in this shopping center. 0. No black-owned businesses. My client, he was like, hell nah. And he used the laws from Operation Rebuild LA to force them to accept his Del Taco right here. Again, even after the riots, when they started rebuilding shit, they tried their best to make sure no black businesses got in. But because of the paperwork within Operation Rebuild LA, he was able to get his Del Taco established right here. I think he since sold that Del Taco. Somebody else owns it. So again, when I'm talking about LA, I'm not talking just as a resident, nigga. I worked at the bank, and anything that happened business-wise in Washington Mutual Bank, when I was 22, 23, I personally touched that file. So I really got a firsthand experience as to how business worked here. This Vons grocery store, this was built in 1993 after the LA riots. This is like the first like major high-end grocery store at the time in the hood. And I remember that bitch ass nigga Prince Charles coming to visit this Vons grocery store, and they're making a big ass deal out of it. Oh, Prince Charles is coming to LA and he's actually going to Inglewood to look at the new Vons grocery store. We was all like, we was mad because they shut down traffic over here. Like, man, if you don't get this big-eared, funny teeth having bastard out of here, fucked up the traffic all day in Inglewood because Prince Charles came to see Post-Riots LA. Yeah, so hit the like button, people. We're talking about the LA riots. So yeah, it was a lot of good things going on. I'm scrolling the chat to see what y'all talking about, because I'm gonna start taking some of y'all questions. I see some corny jokes in here. I see some extremely corny jokes. We're gonna keep on scrolling. Somebody said I used the riots to break into a McDonald's. Look, here's a better fat joke. If you're gonna say a fat joke, you should have said Dwan fat ass used the riots to break into the grocery store to buy 10 years supply of meats and cheeses for his heavy ass appetite. That would have been a fairly funny joke. But to break in for a Big Mac, that's not a funny fat joke, nigga. Oh, you said your uncle used to be a manager at that Vons? Yeah, so this is LA after the riots. LA got rebuilt, and it got an infusion of black businesses that they never, ever, ever wanted it. Now, was Operation Rebuild LA a perfect? No. Because it's one of those minority programs where a whole bunch of minorities got to come in and benefit off of it. So it wasn't what we wanted it. It should have been just black. But we didn't get black business. We got one of those minority programs. But I will say this, a lot of the black businesses that were built because of that, they're still standing today. The riots had an overall good effect. Another thing, the riots, a good thing that happened after the riots. They took away, Chief Daryl Gates got fired. They took away, Chief Daryl Gates got fired. Tom Bradley, old ass, had to resign. They ended the crash unit. The police are no longer able to come with battering rams. Mind you, we have been lobbying for this forever. Didn't happen until niggas set that thing on fire. They revamped the LAPD. Chief Willie Williams came in. And then after that, Bernard Parks. We had a time period to where the police, police stopped really killing black people in LA too. That's another thing that happened. The ass whoopings and killings stopped for a long time. They kind of low key been sort of springing up again lately over the last 10 years. But the ass whoopings and killings stopped for a long fucking time. The police were on notice. Be nice, nigga. there was a gang truce. The Crips and Bloods had come together. Now, mind you, it's suspected the LAPD is also the ones that ended the gang truce. Why do I say that? Because there's been allegations. There have been people who said that, you know, LA, there are people that were saying shit like, I lost my train of thought. God damn it, I just lost my train of thought. Damn it, chat room, where was I? Chat room, where was I? Where was I? Peace out, Nino Black. Yeah, Tasha, the LAPD were horrible. I just lost my train of thought. I was getting the train of thought and I lost that motherfucker. God damn it. I just heard my loud ass neighbor talking and I'm like, what the fuck going on outside? Ain't nothing going on. She just loud. Shit. But I was talking about the benefits that we got out of that. Or the gang truce. The gang truce had stopped. It was suspected that, you know, it was people, the allegations made, people who were locked up, they would get locked up, and say you got locked up, and say you had an easily identifiable car, a lowrider, because, you know, LA car culture is major in LA. They'll try to make you seem, today they make it seem as if the Mexicans are the ones that brought the car culture in. Not true. Lowrider culture, car culture, that's FBA all day. But your car that's easily identifiable because you got a certain lift kit on it, you painted a certain color, is now involved in a drive-by in a rival gang neighborhood. This happened a lot in the late 90s because 92 was a fairly peaceful year. I remember in my neighborhood, we used to hear gunshots all the goddamn time. I mean, I was traumatized as a kid. They was always shooting up at my elementary school. Friday night, especially like if Dorsey High School had a game, you can guarantee some shooting was gonna happen. And more than one. After the riots, you didn't hear as many shootings, none of that shit. But then niggas would get arrested, popped on some kind of injunction law, car impounded, and they impounded car is seen in a drive-by in a rival neighborhood. But the people from the rival neighborhood don't know you been popped. They think that was you that did the drive-by. What happens? Powder keg. The riots is what made the block hot. And that the riots is what Johnny Cochran was able to capitalize off of when it came to Mark Furman in the OJ case. There was a lot of heat on the LAPD. There was a lot of attention going to the LAPD because the LAPD has so many years of foul practices. So the fact that the LAPD was immediately in the news when the OJ trial happened in 1994, 2 years later, when Johnny Cochran started talking about Mark Furman and his racism, well, mind you, during the Rodney King trial, the LAPD was on trial too. The news always tries to make it focus back on Rodney King. Really, the people who were on trial was the LAPD, not Rodney King. The LAPD was on trial. They got acquitted, of course, but what made it so egregious was a lot of the information that came out during the trial about the shady backgrounds of these police officers. And in spite of their shady backgrounds, they were still allowed to beat a black man on camera and get away with it. The LAPD was on a hot seat. See, if Johnny Cochran used Mark Furman in the pleading the fifth, that may not have worked before the riots as well as it did. It worked so well because of the riots. It worked well because of the riots. That's why that shit worked. The LA riots also led to the Rampart scandal being uncovered. because of Rodney King, there was a federal investigation of the LAPD because of the riots. And that federal investigation led to the Rampart scandal being uncovered. You know the Rampart scandal? For those of you too young to know, let me tell you what the Rampart scandal was. Rampart is a division in LA, and mind you, of course they put a black cop's face on it. Of course they did that. But the Rampart scandal was basically a bunch of police officers that got caught planting drugs, instigating gang fights. It was part of the crash unit. They were sabotaging Death Row Records. They're doing a lot of shit with it. They don't like talking about that. But that investigation led to implication of over 70 police officers. It was way more than that. Now, they only said 24 of the officers were found guilty. But what it did was it brought the federal attention to the LAPD. When people say, hey, Obama ain't the president of black people, what could he have done with Trayvon Martin? He could have did the same thing George Bush did with the LAPD. President George Bush, a fucking racist ass Republicans who was key to starting the war on drugs. He sent the federal task force down there to investigate the LAPD after the riots, man. And that led to the Rampart scandal being unearthed. You don't think Obama, when he was the so-called black president, could have sent a federal investigation to these police departments that were wrongdoing black people? The white president did it. So this is another thing that came out of the LA riots. Injunctions and relative peace between the LAPD and the black citizens. Changed the way the LAPD did its laws. I've never been yanked out of my car by the LAPD. Thank you, LA riots. By the time I started driving, there was no just yanking niggas out the car. There was no pulling a person's car apart and ripping their seats open looking for drugs. That was now a no-no by the time I started driving in 2000. Thank you, LA riots. We had decent places to shop and buy things for ourselves. Thank you, LA riots. LAPD stopped beating niggas all willy-nilly. Thank you, LA riots. Black businesses were allowed to come back into LA, and is a small portion, but more than had gotten before the LA riots. Thank you, LA riots. Thank you, thank you, thank you. A couple days of pain lessened a lifetime of pain of black Americans, tax-paying citizens living in the United States of America. Thank you, LA riots. So before you go and listen to these other people tell you that the riots burned down our community, know the real. Yeah, it burned shit down, but it brought shit back better. Before you hear people go back and say people, well, you can't get things by rioting. You have to, I guarantee you, Roland Martin on his show is going to be like, that's why you got to vote Democrat. You got to vote Democrat. If you want these things to happen, if you want these changes to be made, you got to vote. If you don't vote, you're going to have to burn your city out again. I guarantee you that That's the most square-headed ass, round-headed nigga I've ever seen in my life. How you got a round, square head, Roland Martin? That's another topic. Before you listen to them bootlegs say that bullshit, you should know. No, black people were doing the shit politically correct. We were at those Mark Ridley Thomas meetings, those Yvonne Brathwaite Burke meetings, those Maxine Water meetings. Barbara Bijot was over the school district. How do I know? My mama was there when she had her goddamn town halls. My mama was always there, and I saw a lot of other black people there too. It wasn't just me and my mother there by ourselves. We were in a room full of black people demanding these things before the riots. I should do that. Thank you, LA Riots. With some shit burning in the background. I probably should make that a shirt. Yeah, so this is 30 years after the LA riots. The fallout and all that stuff. I wasn't going to take any calls, but I decided I am going to take a couple calls. Not many. But I will take a couple. I will take a couple calls. 323-744-7425. 323-744-7425. 323-744-7425. Let me fix this. You can't even read. There we go. 744-7425. What's up, caller? What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, how's it going? My name is B, and I'm from Chicago, Illinois.
B from Chicago, Illinois. What's on your mind?
Well, this world's just crazy, Niggas be tripping. But
I don't know what the hell happened there. Your phone call dropped. Make sure you go into a decent area. I don't know. Nigga, were you calling from Lake Michigan, nigga? Call back on in, brother. Yeah. I think he was calling from the middle of Lake Michigan. You're right, he did sound like. You're right. OJ got off. Thank you, LA Riots. That's a good one. I appreciate that, Tadora NYC. We gotta have this. Tasha, you said you feel old? I feel old, man. I was 10. I was a latchkey kid walking home from school when all this happened, man. I was in elementary. I feel old now. Shit. I feel old. But that's what was going on in the city. Let's see here. What's up, caller? What's your name? Where you calling from?
Yo, Dwan, this is your man Rail from the Rail brand, Rally Rail on Instagram, man.
Yes, sir. What's on your mind, brother?
I was listening to you talk about the LA riots, man. It reminded me of the 2020 riots you did with George Floyd and Breonna Taylor. And I was down in LA during that summer, man, and it gave me vibes of the LA riots, even though, I wasn't there. I was a little kid in Africa at that time. But, I've seen everything that happens, and it seemed like, we got to keep pushing and pushing, and, damn near you should be pushing down for these walls.
Real talk.
I was in Africa, too.
That's real talk. Your phone breaking up, brother, man, but that's real talk. You there?
Yeah, man. And I support what you, and, yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you now, yeah.
Yeah, I support what you, Craig, man, Cedrick Should, the Black Authorities. I support what y'all all do, though, man. I've been so tired of watching regular TV and listening to the mainstream bullshit, though, man. I only listen to y'all, you feel me, man? I only want the truth, no matter how ugly or brutal it is, though, you dig?
I appreciate that, man. That's the whole purpose, man. I'm tired of watching mainstream TV, too. We got to tell it like it is, like it TI is. Yeah, man. Thanks for
real,
giving us a call,
you know,
brother.
growing up. For sure, man. You have a good one, Dwan.
Much appreciated. Much appreciated. Yeah, you gotta tell it really like it really is, because when the TV tell a story, the TV gonna make it seem like the LA riots were just black people burning down our own neighborhood and we didn't get nothing out of it. That's what TV gonna do. And these niggas like Roland Martin who ain't even from here, how can you honestly cover the riots and you ain't even from here? What's up, caller? What's your name? Where you calling from?
Oh, hey, this is B again, from Chicago.
Yes.
Sorry about that. I don't know what happened with my phone, but, you know.
So what's on your mind, B?
I remember the LA riots. I remember my family and I, we'd be in front of the TV and, it was split. I had half the family was shocked, the other half the family, well, they kind of understood what was going on, but it was a feeling of, thank you, God, that this is finally being brought to the light,
Were you in Chicago at the time?
Oh yeah, I frequent Chicago at the time, but I was in the islands as well, so I'm used to going back and forth.
Okay.
From the islands to the Chicago area. Yeah, but I that's all I can really say on that one. But I'm a fan of your work. I've been watching you for a little bit, so I just wanted to call in and give my respects.
Much respect, much love, brother. Thank you for calling us in. Yes,
yeah,
sir.
I appreciate you. Thank you.
Yeah, that brother had a very. I bet he get hired at all of his job interviews. With that accent, that brother gets hired. He ain't never not got his job. He ain't never not got a job. Hell, he could apply to be police chief of the Indianapolis Police Department tomorrow, and based on his voice, he gonna get that job. Our brother right there ain't never gonna be broke. I'm like, you're applying to be a level 3 manager, but it says here on your experience, on your resume, that you don't have any experience. He's gonna be like, well, my resume may say I have no experience, but I have life experience, and I can sound like Obama if I want to. So if you don't hire me, then they'd be like, you got the job, sir. That brother that just called probably makes $680,000 a year from a job he never would have got if he'd had an accent. What's up, caller? What's your name? Where you calling from?
Big Dwan, what's up, brother? Herc Owen, man.
Herc Owen, what's on your mind, brother?
Brother, thank you so much for running down that history, man, for spitting that history so accurately, man. And thank you for letting these people know what it was all about. It was about justice for our people, man.
Uh-huh.
You bringing up the battering rams, how the neighborhood was before the rebellion. I like to refer to it as a rebellion because it was all about justice.
Yeah.
And brother, it was a lot of things going on. I remember a lot of good people got hurt with those battering rams. I mean,
good people,
grandmothers, good people, grandmothers, and just family. I mean, everybody asked where all the generational wealth of black people went to. Hell, them battering rams tore a lot of it down. Because
your insurance wasn't paying for
I remember That's right. It's a lot of folks lost. There was a lot of people lost their homes, and they pushed all of us out towards Victorville, and San Bernardino and Riverside. You're right, brother. I mean, man, you definitely called it the whole thing accurate. I watched all that with my own eyes, brother. And the killings, the murders by the LAPD on black people was just notorious, man. It was just, it was justice, of the people. It was long time overdue justice. And Sister Latasha Harlins, may God rest her soul. All Eula Love, all the people, all the brothers and sisters that fell,
Yeah.
So yeah, brother. Thank you, man. Thank you. Brother, man. Much love, brother.
Much
love.
appreciated, brother, man. Thanks for giving us a call.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, y'all. It was real out here. Like, LA's been under a soft gentrification since around time just before the riots. What's up, caller? What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, motherfucker.
Motherfucker, what? This nigga just called and said motherfucker.
Who are you talking to? Who are you talking to like that? I called you respectfully, and this is what.
That nigga said motherfucker. And his phone started breaking up. Motherfucker. That shit was funny as hell. That motherfucker called me a motherfucker. Motherfucker. That shit was funny as hell. Yeah, man. You right. That 105, Tasha, cleared a lot of black people out. We had, because mind you, the 105 freeway. Let me go back to see where was I? Let me go back. Tell you later. Let me go back to the maps. Let me go back to the maps. No, not that map. Not that map. Oh yeah. I'm gonna answer this call while I'm going to this map. What's up, caller? What's your name? Where you calling from?
What's up, Dwan B? This is G Boot 2786 from New Orleans. How you doing, brother?
Yes, sir. What's up, my New Orleans brother? What's on your mind?
Yeah, man, Dwan, bro. It's funny you mentioned the LA riots. I have no memory of it. I was 6 years old when that happened, so I only remember it from like watching in living color because I know they used to make fun of it all the time, and I remember Spike Lee putting Rodney King's beat down on in the Malcolm X movie.
Yeah.
But man, I did have a question, and perhaps you could be better to answer it than I am because I'm not in California. Like, how has the areas changed since the riots? Have there been any development, as far as black businesses are concerned? Did they grow out, after the riots had occurred? What took place? Because, it raised a lot of, the good thing about this is that it raised a lot of underlying issues that most people were not aware, like the racism we face from the Korean grocery stores and markets, how they set up in our community, but, and make money, but they discriminate against us like they did with that girl, Latasha Harlins, because that was something, if I'm not mistaken, that also set off what happened before Rodney King.
Quick question.
Yeah.
By how long ago did you tune in?
I just tuned in about 4 or 5 minutes ago.
Okay. I'd encourage you to go back and listen because I covered the black businesses really well, and I don't want to. I went very detailed into how. So I will tell you, yes. In short, yes, black businesses. It helped black businesses out tremendously with Operation Rebuild LA. It allowed black businesses to come in, and we brought back and it brought in businesses that we had in the neighborhood had been requesting for a long time that they never brought us to our neighborhood until after the riots. So in short, yes, it was good, and yes, it did benefit us in those ways. So, but I encourage you for details to go back and listen because I got extremely detailed on where the benefit came from.
All right, no problem. I'll do that, man. I appreciate it.
Man, thanks for calling my brother from New Orleans.
All right, man. Talk to you later.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Yeah, Tasha talked about the 105 freeway. All this was black, man. They knocked down all this shit. All this. Now Linwood's basically 100% Mexican. Gardena is still black in this area, like north of 130, north of Rosecrans, and it's the white folks coming in heavy. Because over here, well, that's Athens Park. Over here in Gardena, the black folks are for the most part in this area, kinda. Gardena used to be all black, even down here, down by the Hustler Casino and Normandy Casino. This shit used to be all black. Hawthorne used to be all black. Now Hawthorne's mostly Mexicans, and Gardena below Rosecrans is all Japanese now. And white folks, the last stronghold black people have over here is in this pocket. And the white folks from SpaceX, because SpaceX is right here. See that X? This is SpaceX. That used to be the Hawthorne Airport. Well, it still is a Hawthorne Airport. But this place, this was empty for a long time. And so the white folks from SpaceX are moving in heavy over here. Inglewood is still black, but the houses over here are like now $1.2, $1.3 million. And I know my sister was trying to get a house over here, and she qualified for a house. I mean, she made the money for a house, but what they did was they just lowered her qualifications. What they do with all black people. At the time, the houses were going for like $800,000. They'll give you a $600,000 loan amount to make sure your black ass can't buy the house. That happened to a lot of black people over here back when the houses were still $600,000, $700,000. They would give black people loan amounts of $400,000, $500,000. Also, Facebook got called out because on Facebook ads, when it came to selling houses, they wouldn't tell black people that houses were for sale in our own neighborhoods. They would list houses for sale here in Inglewood, in Kansas, across the country, in Culver City, in Beverly Hills, in Seattle, everywhere except for the Facebook users who come from black zip codes. You wouldn't get that ad. So you wouldn't even know that the house around the corner was listed and you were looking for the house. So they're coming real hard for this area right here, black folks. All this shit over here is Mexican now. It used to be black. It used to be black over here. Same over here. You see this area where they knocked down. This used to be a whole neighborhood. This area right here used to be a neighborhood of houses and apartment buildings. Mostly apartment buildings, but houses too. They said about 20 years ago that they're going to make this some part of LAX. So they demolished this whole neighborhood. This was a black neighborhood. It was in Westchester, because I went to Westchester High School right over here. This is where I went to high school right here, my high school, Westchester. This is where I went to high school. Mostly, even though this is an all-white neighborhood, Loyola Marymount University is right here. The neighborhood's all white. This was my middle school where me and my wife met. This was my middle school over right. Even though this was an all-white neighborhood over here, all of the kids came from over here. Inglewood, Ladera Heights, Inglewood. All of the kids that lived in this area, around the Forum, up in here. This is where they film Insecure. This is where they film Insecure over here. I always said when that show Insecure came out, I remember telling my wife, I said, they're making this show Insecure to make gentrification palatable for white people. They basically have all of these scenes, all of these camera shots of the neighborhood, making it seem like something else. Here's the dunes where they film Insecure. Mind you, my homeboy, when I went to high school with, middle school with, lived right here. We used to be over here all the time. This is the kicking spot back in high school. Right here. Man, we never walked down Hyde Park. Nigga, it was so many goddamn shootings and shit on Hyde Park. Nigga, hell nah. The neighborhood wasn't shit. As recently as, I won't say wasn't shit, but the dunes wasn't shit. As recently as 8 years ago. This was all black up in here. Now it's getting very white up in here. Highland Elementary, I'll be telling that story about the black kids having to walk the white line. See, I notice now that this school is becoming more than black people at this elementary school. I see they got rid of the white line. Cause back when I was working with kids here as recently as 5 years ago, they had a white line out here, and all the black kids, when they were on the yard, they had to walk the white line, and they deviated from the white line, they got a punishment. I notice now that the neighborhood is getting more white. They got rid of that white line. It used to be a white line all through this motherfucker. But this area is still mostly black, but it's changing fast. It's changing fast. This area here was like an all black pocket because there's a bunch of apartments. Hundreds, literally, thousands of black people lived in this pocket right here. They knocked that whole neighborhood down, nigga. That's how heavy the gentrification has been in LA. When it comes to black people hangouts, and I talked about this shit before breaking down LA. The black people hangout was the Ladera Center. Well, no, not that one. Right here, the Ladera Center. Back when Magic Johnson bought this shopping center back like in 2001. 2000, Magic bought this shopping center. And he put in his Fridays, and where it says Dave's Hot Chicken, this used to be a Starbucks. This was the Magic Johnson Starbucks, the most profitable Starbucks in the country. About 5 years ago, when they wanted black people to start moving out of the neighborhood, they shut this black Starbucks down out of nowhere in 2018. It was the most profitable Starbucks in America. They opened up this little bullshit Starbucks over here. Why did they shut the Starbucks down? Because right here in this courtyard used to be where from like when they opened the Starbucks in like the late 90s, from then till about 2016, 2017, this is where you can get a whole bunch of black people, senior citizens and young black people alike, playing dominoes in the courtyard. This courtyard was black LA. You will have a Bentley, a damn Rolls Royce Phantom right here, because niggas got money in this neighborhood. You'll have a Rolls Royce Phantom parked next to a Toyota Corolla. You'll have a brother that's worth $5-6 million playing chess with somebody who's a security guard who come here a certain times of the day to play chess and to play dominoes. This was black culture LA. You know what LA did in 2016, 17? They said, you know what? We gonna shut this Starbucks down, because in black culture, in black America, black culture, we center around coffee shops. Black LA is where coffee shops is where black LA, especially the black men in LA, sort of come together to commune. I know because my dad used to hang out back when I was a kid. He used to hang out and play dominoes at this Winchell's over here on Manchester. This is the original house, the original Roscoe's. But when I was a kid, my dad used to be over here at this Winchell's. Where is it at? Where is it at? No, Winchell's off Florence. Where's Florence? Where's Florence? Yeah, right here, this Winchell's. So my dad used to hang out and play. So as a kid growing up in LA, anytime you went to the donut shop is where, as a young black man growing up, you can see the elderly black man. And if you didn't have a father, you can go to a donut shop and you can meet up with black men and get fatherly advice. This Ladera Center Fridays was the place to get that done. You had a lot of young black men who would get elderly advice from older black men over a game of chess, over a game of dominoes right here. But when LA started its gentrification heavy, they shut down a hub of black LA where we came together as a group. The same year they shut that Fridays down was the same year they shut down the park over here in Lamert Park. That was the same year they put this bullshit ass, ugly ass gate. Y'all see this ugly ass fence? This fence wasn't there. They shut down this park because this is Drum Circle, this Africa town. This is where the black people will come to commune and to play the drums on Sunday and spread our black culture. They just shut the park down like, fuck you niggas, we don't want y'all over here anymore. Again, I told you this is where Tariq was gonna buy the museum. They didn't even let this it still ain't shit over here, but they ain't letting that black man buy that. This the Vision Theater over here. Again, this is the World Stage Theater. This is where Terrace Martin, Kamasi Washington, Thundercat, Anderson .Paak. If you listen to one of Anderson .Paak's songs on the Oxnard album, I forgot the name of the song, but it's on the Oxnard album. And he's talking about late nights in Lemert. That's one of the lines Anderson .Paak says. When Anderson .Paak was just getting started, this is where Anderson .Paak was in 2010. His name was Breezy Lovejoy at the time. But you can catch Breezy Lovejoy over here at the World Stage Theater along with Thundercat, Kamasi Washington, Terrace Martin. All of them will be over here. At the same time, you can find Nipsey Hussle right over here. This is the Marathon store right here. You can find Nipsey over here. Woody's Barbecue. That place Tariq said that he's thinking about getting a piece of property. Based off what he was saying, it sounds like it's one of these buildings in here. When he was talking on his last show about his property that he's looking at, based off what he was saying, I don't know for sure, but it sounds like it was one of these buildings right here. Over here off Bryanhurst. It was somewhere over in here. It was somewhere in this pocket. But Nipsey was over here, but Nipsey, this is 60s neighborhood right here. This is 60s neighborhood. You didn't see Nipsey down here at the World Stage Theater too much because this is 40s neighborhood. And these two neighborhoods do not get along. You see how close they are from where it says Lemert Plaza to Woody's. Nipsey was right here. This is where Nipsey got killed. And the jazz, at the same time Nipsey's was getting hip hop popping right here. Jazz is being rebirthed right here. And this is all, again, like I said, within the last 10 years. They've been shutting this area down like crazy. We can't even gather here in the parking lot like we used to. So this is what's going on. And at the same time, when it comes to the beach, Dockweiler Beach, this was Black Beach. When it came time to go to the beach, this is where black folks go to the beach in LA, in all the South Central, because you see you got the end of the 105 freeway. You can catch the 105 and all the black LA over here. This is for the most part where black people are. So what have they've been doing a Black Beach over the last 5 years? They made it to where you can't park anymore along Vista Del Mar. So the one beach that black people could come and not be bothered with white folks, they stopped us from parking over there. And now you can only park in this one little ass lot right here. Further down, see how close that is. This is Bruce's Beach. This is where black people would have had a beach had the city not come down and taken Bruce's Beach from them black folks in 1924. But this is LA. This is how LA racism works. The few places that we do gather and commune together as a culture, as a group, they just shut the shit down. Yeah, the most recent one, you're right. They sent cops over the Slauson and Crenshaw just as they know niggas is gonna do what they do. Yeah, man, but that's it. What's up, Iron Manifesto? What's up, Quan? Yeah, later on tonight, I'm about to get up out of here. Later on tonight, download Incense and Ashtrays on Mixcloud. We're going to go through Ice Cube's Death Certificate album. And we're going to talk about the social implications of the album, the conditions that he spoke on that led to the riots. And then we're going to play a little bit of the Predator album. Because on the Predator album, he was basically telling you, I told you so. But we're going to break down Ice Cube, the Prophet. Tonight on Incense and Ashtrays. I got my book coming out real soon. I got my webinars coming up pretty soon. We about to have some webinars. For those of you on Patreon, thank you for being patient. Got a whole series of webinars coming out now. And you'll have access to all of them on Patreon. Or if you don't want to join Patreon, you can just join the webinars one-on-one. How to speak to your family with loving communication. How to speak to people with loving communication. That's what the book is about. That's what the webinar is about. And oftentimes people have good intentions in what they say. They just don't quite know how to say it. And the best way to build the family environment is to build an environment of trust, an environment that everyone can speak to one another, an environment that we can all interact with one another and speak to each other like we got some damn sense. Some people have issues with speaking to people, so we here to have. I'm here to help us with that. You dig what I'm saying? I want to thank y'all again for joining, and remember this: there are no perfect messengers. Only perfect messages for those who are willing to pick up the game. My name is Dwan B. I'm out.